Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the stream. We're going to be doing some top 16 action. Without further ado, I will bring you to the top 16 match between Pez and Chris. Now, the players have requested that there is no audio of them, so just so you are aware, I will do my best to keep the game score and keep you guys up to date as to what is going on. So Chris was the lower seed, higher seed, excuse me. So Chris has chosen to be on the play. It's a good start from Chris. Ooh, really good start from Chris. Suchi Chaos Orb. Seems okay. Alright, so not much out of Pez, but we'll see what happens. Chris is on a traditional shops build with white, black, and blue. Pez is playing his Blue Moon style deck, where it's a lot of blue spells and Blood Moon in the main deck.
You're doing this in your turn. Correct. Yeah, of course. And my shadow is Gucci now, so you have 4 mana right now. So you go to attack phase. So if I want to use one before, I should use it now.
Alright, so Shatter on the Suchi. They're just clarifying as to when the Shatter is getting played and what's going on with the mana. So Chris is going to use 3 of the mana. He's going to use 1 of the mana to activate the Chaos Orb on the Volcanic. Alright, and then he will take 3 points of mana burn. And, oh yeah, Pez has taken 2 hits now. He's down to 12. Right. So the upkeep was the tap of use the IC to tap the factory. Pez played a volcanic island and said go. Chris is running on all 4 cylinders right now, so. Okay. Strip mine on the volcanic. Pez is down 8. Volcanics for days.
No stream of volcanics.
Chris is playing EC. Yeah, it seems like it. Definitely seems like it. Alright, Pez is down to 4. Alright, end step Ancestral. Trying to get back in this. Seems okay. tapping the volcanic during the upkeep. Response, lightning bolt. Okay. Badlands, chain lightning. Oh. Yep. Okay. So it was bolt on the Su-Chi, then chain lightning on the Su-Chi, and 4 points of mana burn. All right. Discussing cards in hand. Pez has 6. Chris has 2. Time Twister. That's a good one. Like Asian Trout says, I'm on tilt. Yeah. I'm doing the split. Drawing the 7. No mulligans on this. Sometimes you kind of wish you could mulligan on the draw 7s, Time Twister and Wheel of Fortune. But Chris is in the tank, deciding what he's going to do with those 7 cards. If he's going to do anything. Alright, he's got a factory. Factory and Lotus again. Alright, so he's got some mana. Has he got anything to do with it? Factory any earlier would have prevented 7 points of mana burn. Chris is still in the tank. Trike. Yeah, Hurt Triskellion's a good card. Alright. Okay, so Pez is at 4, basically a Phantom 1. Tap the Badlands during the upkeep. Alright, there's a Mox. Island Mox. Can he do something? He's got to get rid of the Trike. And then hope there's no removal for the incoming factory. Well, but there's an Icy, so he really needs a little bit more. Okay, so okay, so Chris takes the first game. All right, so while they're shuffling up, let's take a look at their decks. First, we're going to take a look at Pez's deck. This is Pez's Blue Moon deck. Hey, Rubes, how you doing? So Blue Moon, it's main deck Blood Moons, a bunch of islands and blue spells. Blood Moons turns the non-basic lands into mountains. A bunch of islands can help Pez cast his blue spells, every single blue spell in his deck, with the exception of the 2 counter spells. and the mana drain are just singleton blue. So Pez is probably going to bring in those Shatterstorms, another Blood Moon, possibly control artifact. And then let's take a look at Chris's deck. Chris is playing a traditional shops build, blue, white, black shops. So he's got 4 Juggernauts, he's got 4 Suchis, and he's got 4 Triskelions plus 4 copies of Copy Artifact, 4 Ices. He's got some Parfait action going on with Winter Orbs and with the Howling Mines, and he's got Relic Barriers. So he's got all kinds of things that he can bring in. Now, these are open deck lists, so both players are aware of what the other is playing. So it is possible that some of that sideboarding can be made in order to kind of predict what the opponent is going to do. So it is possible we see Cities in a Bottle out of Chris's deck. And let's again take a look at Pez's deck. Besides the Blood Moon and the Shatterstorms, you know, I'm not sure if he's going to really bring in anything else. Maybe the control magics, but probably not. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. So looks like they are getting ready to play. So let's see what's going on here. Pez has presented his deck. He's ready and raring to go. Chris still making some sideboard choices, so we'll see. Volume is low just for me speaking. Yes. The players have requested that the audio of their game is not on the stream, so all you're going to do is hear me. Okay. I have made a change to the audio, and we'll see if that helps. Maybe. And it looks like Chris is still figuring out what he wants to do. All right, so Chris is doing some pile shuffling, and then we will get better. Audio just got very much lower for me. Well, that's not good. How about now? What about now? Hoping that that everybody can hear me. I mean, you're here to watch the game. You're not really here to watch me, to listen to me. So, hearable at least. Okay, well that's good. Alrighty, so they have exchanged their pleasantries. They have cut each other's decks, and they are taking their opening hands. So let's see what we've got here. Oh, Pez immediately goes down. So, more betterer. All right. Thanks, Mana Birds 802. Appreciate it. All right. So, Pez is taking a mulligan. Chris is keeping his hand. Now, I think that Pez is probably going to mulligan to a Haymaker here. Early Blood Moon. Early Shatterstorm. Something along those lines. We'll see what happens. So Pez is on the play for this game because he lost game 1. Going down to 5. This is brutal. This is brutal. Mulligans aren't great. But if anybody watched my matches, my batch 1, match 4, my opponent mulliganed to 4 and kept land, lotus, mox, and mind twist. And got rid of my entire hand when I played a couple of spells on turn 1, or a couple of cards on turn 1. Yeah, so it was pretty brutal. So Pez knows what he's doing. He's going to show no fear, and he is going to mulligan again. Wow. This is a disaster for Pez. Alright, so let's hope he has a keepable hand. Hopefully he'll get to play Magic. He's in the tank about it. Okay. He's got something. So let's go. Island go. Chris is in the tank here with his 8th card. So, again, Paz has 3 cards left in his hand. Alright, so we got a Mishra's Factory and a Lotus. Chris drawing Black Lotus like it's his job. Twist for 3.
What did you have? I got the land, the tutor, and the wheel.
Land, tutor, wheel. That definitely would have gotten Pez out of the situation he was in. But no bueno. Attacking for 2. Well, it's a land. It's something. Four mana now for Chris. Swinging in for 2. Pez takes it down to 16. Two cards in hand for Pez. Yeah, he had what he needed to get back in the game. If it wasn't for that mind twist, it is definitely a bad beat. But Chris isn't really putting a lot of pressure on right now. Alright, so he's attacking for 2. Pez is down to 14. There's a library. Pearl. Suchi. Counterspell. Okay, cool. Alrighty. Well, keeping a threat off the table. An orb. Pez is not giving up without a fight. Using the hidden mode on Library of Alexandria to tap it for mana to activate the factory. Alright, so Pez now has a factory too. Okay, so Chris casts a Suchi.
On the Suchi.
Yeah.
Immigration.
I get 3.
Factory.
What are you aiming for?
Factory.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Pez uses his factory to hit Chris's factory in response to the Suchi hitting. Now he's going to side blast the Suchi. All right.
Factory. Your go.
Okay. So Pez is down to 10. And Chris takes 4 mana burn.
One card.
Yeah.
So pass. 4.
That's a 2.
All right. Getting in there.
Go. Same thing. Go. Hold it. Take my turn. Go.
All right. So Chris now has 7 cards in hand, so he can activate his library. Chris is at 7. Pez is at 10. He could have been sitting on Trikes because Trikes cost 6.
Jesus. Pass.
And he's passing. And he serves. Down to 5. Chris is digging. All right, Chris played Tundra and passed out. 7 cards in hand. Pez is going to serve. Chain Lightning. Blue Blast. Okay. Using a white source, which is odd. All right, Chris is in the tank. I think he's got 7 cards, so I think he can activate his library. Yep, there he goes. There's a shop. Yep, that doesn't really help. I mean, if it was going to help, it would have helped with whatever else he had. There's a trike. Oh, maybe he had some other copies in his hand.
How are you paying for the copy?
I guess.
Yeah. So that understand.
Yeah. All right. I
Fireball for the win. Ooh, look at that. Okay. Whoops. So, we've got a match. We have got a match. We are going to game number 3. So, Pez mulligans down to 4. Plays a land, says go, gets his hand mind twisted away, and still pulls it off. So, let's take a look at what Pez is rocking. Yeah, who needs 7 cards? Easy game. Alright, so Pez is playing Blue Moon. It is a red and blue deck with main deck Blood Moons and sloppy tapping down the stretch. Here, stretch there for Chris, for what it's worth. Yes, absolutely. Chris had the opportunity to tap his Moxen a couple of different times to pay for things, and it looked like he got into the habit of tapping whatever as opposed to tapping correctly, and it bit him right at the end because he probably had a way to counter whatever it was that Pez was going to do, but the fireball took him out because all he had was a couple of Moxen untapped. So, all right, and let's take a look at Chris's shop stack. So, still not 100% positive what was boarded in besides the blue elemental blasts, because we did see the blue blasts. But I'm going to assume that the island came in too. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm not sure if the players are going to reveal that at the end, but we will see what is going on. All right. So let that be a lesson to everybody. All right. Don't give up. Even on a mulligan to 4, where you go land, go, and you have your hand stripped away, that does not mean that the match or the game is over. So, I think Chris is just still figuring out what he wants to do when it comes to sideboarding. And then they're going to get this show on the road. So, first game was not much of a game. Second game didn't seem like it was going to be much of a game. But guess what? Chicken butt. Pez did not give up. He did not surrender, even after getting his hand mind twisted away on a mulligan to 4. And he came back to win. With the help of some poor draws on Chris's part, some bad tapping on Chris's part, and a timely counterspell. All right, Chris is doing the pile shuffle again. And throwing those piles back together, doing some more quick shuffling, and Chris will be on the play. He was on the play at the beginning of the match because he was the better seed. He was 7-1, and Pez was 6-2 coming into this. So Chris was I believe the 7th seed, and Pez was the 10th seed. So, all right, they're doing the piles. Center on top for both of them. And away we go. Game number 3 for all the marbles in this top 16 match. Yeah, Pez orbiting the factory, then side blasting the Suchi was in fact huge. It was a heads up play. right. So, Pez is mulliganing again. We'll see what we get here. All right, hoping for a keepable hand here. Hoping to not get line twisted away. He's thinking. Was he just thinking about the card to put back? Ooh, no. Mulligan. Okay. So, Pez going down to 5. Aggressively mulliganing here. Not sure if it wasn't a keepable hand or if it just wasn't good enough. So, hopefully this isn't a repeat of game number 2 where he loses his hand after the mulligan, but we'll see what happens. The game number 2 ended up in his favor. We'll see if fortune smiles on him again on this mulligan to 5. All right, so he's picking cards to go back. So he's keeping the 5. All right. All right. Here we go. Tundra pass. All right, so no Lotus this time for Chris. Factory Ruby. All right. Dwarven Lieutenant. 2-1 for 2. Pez is running Ironclaw Works at LobsterCon when he's running the stack. Switch it to the Dwarven Lieutenants because of the fact that on the rare occasion where he wants to block, the Ironclaw Works pretty much can't. Okay, so Lotus, Time Walk, Howling Mine. Seems okay. Library. Alright, that could come in handy. Chris only has 4 cards in hand right now.
How many cards do you have?
Just put 3. 3.
Kylie Wells, part of the Chris fan club. Alright, stripping the factory. Relic Barrier. Okay. Alright, Relic Barrier tapping the tapping the Howling Mine. Howling Mine shuts off on Pez's turn. Chris gets to draw 2 from the Howling Mine on his own turn. Alright, Chris tapping his Howling Mine before passing. So Pez draws 1. Gets in there for 2. City of Brass. Okay, so Chris is going to draw 2. Alright, he should be able to start activating that library this turn. Oh no, he's down to 6 cards. Okay, so next turn. Dwarven Lieutenant doing some work. Alright. Alright, so Chris is up to 8 cards now. Alright, play Mox. He's at 7. Draws a card with the library. Back up to 8. Is he going to play a land? It's a factory. Okay. Dwarven Soldier. My bad. Now, when Chris activates his factory, he should be using the Mox Emerald to activate. There's nothing else in his deck that uses the green mana, so when he activates his factory, he should use that Mox Emerald as opposed to tapping either of his 2 blue sources. Specifically, don't tap the Tundra because that's your white source. All right, so end step, Chris taps down his own Howling Mine. Ironclaw Doors. Pez turning it sideways. That brings Chris down to 12. And passing. Alright, so Chris is drawing 2. No, he forgot to... Oh, he tapped the library on his... No, he just forgot to untap the library.
No.
You just said you had 7 in your hand. You weren't like saying use it because I have 7. I got you.
Oh no, yeah, 7 before my attack.
You were talking out loud.
Honestly, about it in my upkeep is probably defense. And
Alright, so Chris is maybe doing something now? Yeah, okay, so he's playing an Icy.
That's all you're tapping for?
Mana Drain on the Icy. Alright, so Paz is going to have 4 mana during his pre-combat main phase. Okay, untap. Draw. 4 mana.
I have
7 cards in hand. Okay, so Pez uses 2 of the mana to Psyblast and then takes 2 burn. Then attacks. So that brings Chris down to 6. Alright, so this is like the 3rd turn that Chris has drawn, well, maybe 3 cards. Chris has plenty of mana, but does he have anything to do with it? Alright, there's a Trike. Okay. Pez untaps. Draws. and passes. Chris draws another card. Chris is going to draw 2 more cards, bringing him up to 10 cards in hand. Is he finally turning the corner? Alright, removing a counter from the trike to kill the Dwarven soldier,
13.
and then attacking for 3. Another trike. Factory. Chris doing all the things this turn. Please have Shatterstorm. That would be amazing. If he had a Shatterstorm and was able to back it up with a counterspell of some sort. But, I mean, Chris still has factories on the table. Pez is basically at a Phantom 8 life right now. And then would have to contend with 2 factories. So, it would not be... Ooh, Juggernaut.
Sure.
Okay.
Your go.
A bolt.
And step Bolt.
In my end step.
Yeah.
Okay.
That Bolt brings Chris down to 3. And that is the game. Pez had nothing.
The burn dried up.
Wow. The burn dried up. And that is all she wrote. So, with that, Pez ended up winning. And, sorry, Chris ended up winning. That was 2-1. Yeah, so we had some a decent game 2 and a decent game 3. Unfortunately, Chris drawing all those extra cards for so many turns in a row did finally end up winning him the game and the match. It's really hard to win a game when your opponent is drawing 3 cards a turn for 4 or 5 turns. I mean, he drew 2 cards a turn for like 3 or 4 turns before starting to draw 3 cards a turn. So I get it. So I appreciate everybody watching, and I hope you guys all have a great night. Thanks for being here. Take her easy. Have a great night, and we'll see you next time.